What's up, tribe? Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. Today's post is titled Melancholia, and as it's a dialogue between Matias and his higher self, I'll be referring to Matias as me and to his higher self as I am. Me. Everything I said yesterday was very intense. Information that I have been receiving for a long time and separately begins to close and understand. I keep marveling at things, how everything is interconnected in a perfect way. The puzzle makes sense. I am. This is why I always tell you do not despair before the signs, before a dream, message, channeling, dream. Write it down, record it, but do not put your mind on it. Let it settle. When you receive information from the world around you, it is like receiving pieces of that puzzle of which you cannot understand the image. And one day, you will discover that little piece that gives meaning to all others, and you understand the image that you've been building for years in just a second. Me, it's fascinating. This is life, clearly. I am universal entropy, the concept that everything is chaotic and leads to greater chaos is the perception from the point of view of life, of experience, where you see the parts but you cannot see the whole. When you close your eyes and instead of despairing, you wait, you contemplate, you will see that little part that gives meaning to everything else. Like that moment when you place yourself in a point of view where you see the precious mandala that makes up the whole. There, you understand the concept of universal syntropy, in which you recognize that everything tends to order and is part of an overwhelming logic. The order has always been there, but you just can't see the whole from where you are standing. Me, that explains why beings from other dimensions tell us about the future as poetry, as codes, because what is future for us is just a landscape for them. We see the car we're traveling in, and they see the landscape ahead, from above, as if on a hill. The driver cannot see the curve behind, but the one at the top can warn us that we will have to turn. They do not see the future, they see the global landscape. I am. So you can understand better, and from where they are, they can't see the details either. They may see the curve, but not the wells there. Each being will tell you apart their point of view of the past, present, future from specific distances. A divine mandala, a fabric that expands in all directions in a magical way. Me, I can imagine it when I close my eyes. It's beautiful. It's the web. We are all interconnected in it, in different layers, and each being that speaks to us through it tells us in their own way what they see from their place. His advice is a team effort. When we talked about the law of 12, it reminded me of a Russian doll, a mamushka, in which the systems are repeated in the same way, one within the other, fractals, where our organic systems are like the star systems of the constellations, everything connected, like a huge clock with its gears, small and large, all indispensable. I am Atlantis. Do you remember the main idea of the city? Me, connect the gears of the three times and the three spaces. Three concentric circles surrounded by water, connecting by bridges in the 12 directions towards the domains of the 12 families. Many sites were built like this for this purpose. Three groups of priesthoods in charge of different topics. On the Nile, they were the Eminian, Arsayan, and Idilian. I am. What did they use it for? Me. They said it was a way of living with all of us in all directions of time and space, connected, away feeling the presence of all those who were in other dimensions, realities, times, of living together and being able to communicate. We lived in places that allowed us to interact with more things than what we saw. I am, and what happened when civilization fell. Me, the cities stopped being used, and the circles too. Only some were kept for specific tasks at portal moments, such as solstices and equinoxes, but they no longer coexisted with the other dimensions. Now the world was divided between the living and the dead, the here and the hereafter. Water was the way of talking with them, with the others. And for that reason, every so often a trip was made along the river to navigate with beings from other dimensions, and we called the origin and end of the Nile as Nana, the sacred window that today they call Lake Victoria, and Habadabtra, the mirror of the afterlife that today they call Lake Karam. Dividing the two worlds made people start to fear going to the other side, or fear to communicate with the dead or those who inhabit between dimensions. There was insecurity. I am, ghosts, me, Rujm al Hiri, the circle of Golan Heights in Israel. I just remembered 3 concentric circles connected by lines. In modern Hebrew, he is known as Galagal Raphaim, that is, Wheel of Ghosts. I have been several times, and ancestors have always come to speak. I could see the wheels turn, and in doing so, it was like a kind of machine that combined time and space, where the projection of all history could be seen. They said that its form refers to the 3 levels of bodies or being: subconscious, unconscious, and conscious, which are manifested in the physical, emotional, and mental, anchored in the thought of the intestine, the heart, and the brain. Inside the Russian doll, we are the physical part, the biological body where realities are anchored. We are like the gravitational weight on which all subtle planes rotate. Therefore, by putting ourselves in the center of things, all other planes find their destiny and order. I am. Since the great web of consciousness was disconnected, millions of beings roamed the lower astral without finding a center. Ancestors who have not known where to go. Soldiers killed in battle, souls in pain. Many refused to abandon the life that was taken from them. They lived anchored in longing for what was, clinging to the bonds of those who still live in the physical system. Me. So, since we stopped having coherence with the interdimensional wheels, many beings have been trapped without finding the bridges between the circles or spheres, wandering in the waters, in the boat of Chiron. I am. Matter is like that black hole that absorbs light from galaxies. It is a point of such gravitational force that every celestial body that does not have its own axis is swallowed up by its forces. Your bodies are like black holes for the light of the fourth and the fifth dimensions, and if the gears with all the planes are not aligned, the bridges will be closed, trapping hundreds and thousands of beings that without access or destiny are drawn back towards the center in matter and its gravitational weight. They need to live, to survive in history, makes being fearful towards those who, united by resonance, inhabit the third dimension. Me, what we call loved ones. I am, and not so dear. There are many who have been here for centuries or millennia, following their descendants, connected to them by biological links, unable to process their energies, to free themselves. They remain tied to emotions and share them with those who live. Me, like when we feel that things are not ours, or we get sick and say, they are our ancestors, and so we end up doing therapies and others to heal them. I am, exactly. They cannot cross the bridges, the connections between the circles. The earth is full of wandering spirits who find neither shelter nor peace, that they do not find the way. Earth is holding a giant weight of millions of beings who still believe they live here, but are actually lost between dimensions. It's a weight in the subconscious and collective unconscious that clouds consciousness, prevents a clear view of the horizon. It needs to be cleaned. Me, I eat. I am in gear. When the poles are aligned, the Virgin will position herself in heaven, and you will see her starry mantle. Me, end of August 2021, beginning of the month of Virgo. I am aligning the poles will cause the three hands to line up at 12th hour, and the jumpers will connect again. Me, we will be able to guide many to free themselves, relax the weight, the tension of the earth in the fourth dimension. I am the final judgment, the moment to spread the fog, to be able to see, remove the veil. Apocalypsos. Me, apocalypse? I am. A great sign appeared in the sky. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She's pregnant and screams as she suffers the pain of childbirth and the torments of giving birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its head 7 diadems. The tail dragged a third of the stars from the sky and threw them to the earth. Revelation comes from the Greek apokalypsos, which means to remove the veil. Conceptually, revelation. The apocalypse is not the end of things, but the end of blindness. Calypso was the daughter of the Titan Atlas, one of the Atlantean daughters who offered the Olympic wars. We sent into exile to live on an island as punishment. His name represents what is hidden, what is not seen, what covers knowledge, the comfort of believing in what is seen, in the mundane, in not looking beyond, is what trapped men like Ulysses, holding him back from his trip while Penelope waited for him, weaving her web, going beyond Calypso's chambers. It was said, Apocalypso, when the walkers realized that the world they believed to live in was not real. The veil is drawn from their eyes, and they see the journey that awaits them. This is how humans find themselves. But this is how all souls in pain are found, waiting for the apocalypse, the final judgment, where the fog of their consciousness moves, and they can see the roads, going beyond Calypso's chambers. Me, it's a lot of symbolism. I am the blue moon will be in Virgo, Mother Earth, dressed in the stars. The dragon is the Kundalini that crosses the 7 heads, the chakras, representing the physical world, the birth of the new humanity, the liberation of the children, of the hidden knowledge. The 10 horns are the announcements that will sound. You will understand. There's no rush. But will you know now the homework? Me, what you're telling me is very strong. I am, it is not. We all know that we are preparing for the apocalypse. The problem is that they created demonic enemies in him, when the only enemy is ignorance. Me, so what are the steps? I am Penelope, this dedicated and faithful woman who waits for Ulysses for 20 years on his return from the Trojan War, although for about 7 he remained with Calypso, who made him blind to reality. Penelope, with faith, kept waiting for him. Many wanted to marry her, but she made a promise. She would marry again when she managed to finish a shroud that she wove for her father in law. But whatever he wove during the day, he unwove at night. Penelope represents the hope of the weavers of networks that the expected moment will come 20 years, that moment when the hero, the eye, frees itself from the jaws of Calypso's illusion, seeing the truth, returning to the weaver who can finally finish her weave, her blue veil. In biology, weaving and unweaving refers to the tissues that make us up, and the suitors are in the low passions, the instinctive emotions. That is why the faun told you the 12 systems. Each of the biological systems are organic tissues that we must weave and unweave, becoming aware of them, recognizing them, and if I do, I free myself and all the ghosts connected to me. I am. You release them from their melancholy. Remember its meaning. Melas, black, and chole, bile. Bile is a secretion produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder, which is released to the duodenum in food intake. Since this bitter and oily liquid is corrosive, breaking down fats for better absorption in the intestines, what do we understand then by melancholy, which are all those things that I have not been able to process, disaggregate, crumble to understand and assimilate? All those things not digested. Melancholy stops us in the past, trying that things do not transform and remain as they once were. In the same way that if when we eat we wanted the food to never change shape because it was too beautiful and you liked it, all the ghosts of the world, both living and dead. So the apocalypse is not something external. It is not what announces the end of the world, but it is something that we are going to produce, something that removes the veil from our eyes, that seeks to make us transcend melancholy. I am. In the end of times, everyone wants to be saved, but no one will be saved if they cannot see the instant of the grey man, of the neutral being, because only the revelation of truth will make them free. All history and prophecy does not speak of real events, but of psychological circumstances, processes of the soul processed by the perception of the mind. It's a great puzzle that we must put together this year. I am. All ghosts are trapped in the shadows of this world, connected to the human digestive system, to the center of gravity of the plexus, where the bile is located. The melancholy that says, all time past was always better, makes us go to the Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Greek, and Latin stories to understand their melancholy. Identify your melancholy. Identify your ghosts from the past. And when it's hour 12, when the Virgin dresses as the sun in the sky and places her feet on the 7 heads of the dragon, it will be the moment of revelation. It is time to draw the veil. Tick, tack, and everyone will find the way.